ready.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, guys, it's 5:30. I'm going to go ahead and call to order the meeting of the Elizabethan City Schools. I'm going to turn it over to Richard so we can have a moment of silence and a place to the flag.
Would you please stand? Please pause for a moment of silence. Thank you. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty, we'll move. Everybody just kind of bear with me tonight. I don't know if you know, I've had cataract surgery, and I had this one done a month ago, this one last week, and I'm still kind of struggling with my vision. So kind of bear with me. My up-close vision is pretty tough right now. So right now, the first thing on the agenda is approved consent agenda and our regular agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second? Okay. Do we want to make any?
I'd like to make an amendment if we can. Since 9A through 9L all deals with board policy, budget, and stuff like that, can we combine those and just vote on all of them at once?
I think that would be fine.
Yep.
But when we get to that, I'll let Richard kind of go through.
Yep.
But that's under the regular agenda. So I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second on the changes to the regular agenda? Motion to approve? Second. Okay. Everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now it's time for citizens to speak. We had a Miss Angie Odom asked to appear before the board tonight to talk about the USDA program in accordance with the board policy. You got 5 minutes, Miss Odom.
Well, since it's 5 minutes, I'm not going to talk a whole lot, and I'm going to show you some things that are important to me. But first of all, I just wanted to say that this is our 20th year at the TLC Center feeding the kids of our community. And even though our schools worked very hard, and I know they did during COVID, I was very discouraged when I found out that Carter County and the Elizabethan City Schools were the only city and county that did not participate in opening up meals for the entire community. Any kids 18 and under can eat for free during the Seamless Summer Food Program. And this is a USDA program with a waiver that allowed kids to not have to congregate at the school to eat. These are meals that could have been delivered not only by our schools, but they could have been delivered as a partner with organizations. And that's why I want to bring it up, because we are already delivering every day. I personally, just in this neighborhood today, brought 135 meals around in one van alone. We're serving about 425 kids a day. Right now, we are over 40,000 meals just since the last day of school at our small organization. So I want to say we are here to partner with the schools because we are allowed, per the rules and with Nashville, we could have picked up the meals from the school and helped get them delivered with us waiving all of the funds from the federal money that you all could have gotten. If I've figured correctly, with the help of some others in this program, what you would receive per breakfast, lunch, or snack, it could have already been over $200,000, then minus the food that was involved just in the time that school was out. Both systems have had sports going on. Both systems had summer school programs going on. They did not open up the cafeterias for any other children in need. I love our schools. I don't want to say just negative things, but this matters to me because I have some football players that try to make it back from practice just to not miss my route of a day. This is real. It's just the facts. We have hungry kids, and I will never look over that fact. I did deliver the meals through the Carter County schools, which I did speak with the city too in 2020, so this isn't the first time around I've exchanged emails. We did pick up meals in 2020 from the Carter County schools and allowed them to keep the funds from that and did not charge them for gas or labor. I'm here to tell you we're here and we're willing to do that. But I don't want to see that our county and our city, out of here to Greenville that I know of, even Unicoi served meals to all kids in need under the age of 18 this summer. I want to see that that's our priority. I know that we're blessed in lots of other ways, but there's a lot of kids that are not. And they're excited even over the sandwiches and the small things. These are just a few faces that I wanted you to see. Sound? Oh, it's my fault.
What do you like best about this supermarket?
That people make it for us little kids.
That the people make it for you? What else do you
And
like
it's
about
free.
and it's free?
And he likes the little nuts that are in the how generous the people are to make the food for us. Amen.
And this is one parent from the city schools. I had some from the county, but I'll let you hear what he had to say. Maybe. Well, I'm so sorry. Well, if it won't play, I'll just tell you what he said. But all of them are saying the same, and that is some parents will receive extra money on the EBT cards if they did receive food stamps, but those still are not coming out until the end of the month, so that hasn't helped them be able to have the extra money with gas being so high too. And as we know, everything else right now has made it extremely hard. Every year, our summer in the past have even been able to buy with the sharing fee from the Second Harvest Food Bank in the past, which is still not free, but more reduced in our buying food. Everything that I have fed every child this summer, and that is hot lunch, sandwiches and snack items, and breakfast items daily, 5 days a week with weekend bags, including 120 kids out of Bristol that we feed every weekend. Everything that we have done has come from Sam's and Walmart. I will tell you now, it's our most expensive year as a nonprofit, and we receive 0 grants, 0 fund from any state, any federal funding. This has been done because of the community and the people that care that our kids get fed. So in saying that, I know you all care. I'm just telling you, the school system and cafeteria ladies don't have to do it alone. They make provisions for churches and other organizations to help make this happen. So we're here, so I don't look that COVID has went away. I'm telling you this as an importance that if we run into a situation again during the school year, we're here to help you. I've got the forms. I went door to door. I will help bring them back to the cafeterias like I did with the Carter County schools as well, to split the differences between both school systems, not only to help feed the kids, but then that makes it fair as far as reimbursements for both school systems to receive extra funding that we're choosing to not accept just because we want to feed the kids. So I just wanted to share that with this group.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Odom. Okay, let's move down. I guess the next item on the agenda is the director's.
Yes, one thing before that, that's okay, is we have a special recognition, so if Coach Holt and Coach Broussard can come up.
About to forget that.
It's okay.
Thank you, Richard. About to look past that one, what I can see. Sorry, Richard. You good?
All righty. Well, thank you guys for inviting Coach Broussard here tonight for the school board meeting to be recognized. This year, we had a great swim season, and I think we already did recognize the swim team up here, right? Right. So then after that, we found out that Coach Broussard was voted by her coaching peers, which are the other schools in the region. And in swim, there are no divisions, so it's Dobbins-Bennett, Science Hill, Tennessee High, you know, all the schools at every level, and they voted Coach Broussard as the men's regional swim coach of the year. And so we are extremely proud of that, and not to take anything away, I'm not surprised, though, that you were voted as the men's coach of the year. And so she's made such a difference in the short time that she's already been here, and we're very lucky and blessed to have her with our program. And so Coach, congratulations on that honor. And I think you have a few things you want to say as well, right?
I wrote a few things down, but I don't have to say it.
Yeah. So congratulations to Coach Broussard.
Yes, thank you very much for recognizing me. This is a very humbling experience for me when I found out that my peers had voted me Coach of the Year. I was shocked. And I don't think there's anything more flattering or humbling than that, because they all work just as hard as I do. And what made it even more surprising is that our boys team was only 5 boys, but we placed 3rd at regionals, and so that just goes to show the quality over quantity mattered in that situation, and they recognized that, so I was very, very humbled. But I could not have done it without an entire community of support. That includes the parents of the swimmers themselves for supporting their kids' decision to be a part of this crazy sport that we call swimming. My husband, Stephen, for supporting me. The swimmers themselves for creating a culture and a community that is really family-like. They hang out outside of the pool, outside of swimming activities all the time, and they make it really fun and a special place to be. I think our team is very special. My assistant coach, Robin Roselle, who I think balances me out very well. I can be a little bit tough, and she can be a lot more fun. And I like to think I balance her out too. And of course, A.D. Holt. If you had not jumped on hiring me and given me this position, I would not have the purpose that I have in life. So thank you. Just want you all to know that the plan that Coach Holt and I have put in place is not an accident. This stems all the way from our new swimming lesson program, which in the last 3 months has served 67 families and 88 kids we've taught how to swim this summer. So our pool is being used more than I think maybe ever, and these families are just loving it. Also our Typhoons program, which is also part of the community involvement programs along with our swimming lesson program, and we've got 37 swimmers swimming in the meet on Saturday. It's our championship meet Saturday morning, and that's I think probably the most we've ever had swim in that meet. We had from our swimming lesson program 12 new swimmers join our Typhoons Club this year, just from this summer alone. So it's working, and on top of that, those 2 programs have been a wonderful revenue source to make improvements to our facility, which if you haven't stopped by to see them, today was a very exciting day. We got our new starting blocks installed. Our swimmers got to start using them, and they were like kids in a candy store. They were so excited to be able to get up on those things and start using them. They look amazing. And then all the way through our middle school program, which we had 40 swimmers start out last season, we ended with 38, so they obviously enjoyed it. They stuck it through. And then through the high school team. So all of these programs are going to feed, hopefully, all the way up into the high school program, and I hope that we have this kind of success year after year after year. So I'm going to enjoy this while it lasts, because I know everything is temporary, and I just am really flattered and appreciative of all of you for welcoming me into your community and giving me this purpose. So thank you.
Let's do it. Let's do a picture there, Coach Holt. Oh, yeah, sorry. Maybe slide right here in the.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate what you guys are doing with our swim program. Thank you. Thank you very much. At this point, I'm going to give it to our director and let him give us his report.
Thank you, Mr. Isaacs. We'll start out. I have a few comments, but first of all, we'll go ahead and we have 2 special things we'd like to share with you tonight. The first one is an update on summer school that we had in the month of June. Extremely successful. So if Dr. Markland, if you wouldn't mind to come up with, let's see who else, Mr. White, if you'll come up as well, and they'll give you an update on how that finished up. Thank you all very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us. For the past 2 summers, Penny, Nave, and I have been the directors of the Learning Camp program, which is the program for our rising 1st through 5th graders. And the primary purpose of this program is to help close those learning gaps that were created by COVID. Developing, for us, it's developing those foundational skills, focusing on reading and math. We also had a STREAM block. That program was developed by our very own Carrie Taylor, was phenomenal. The children's got some hands-on activities there, exploring and with their imagination. They did racetracks, they did jets, they made edible something. Something, what I don't know, they were squirting it in their mouths, yeah. I forget what it was. But it was great, the kids loved that. We also had structured recess for them, structured like a PE class. Our group consisted of 18 teachers, 13 educational assistants, 1 secretary, 3 cafeteria workers, and 2 custodians. We served 188 students this summer. We served them breakfast, we served them lunch, and we gave them a snack each day. And we also had a nurse, a full-time nurse, shared between the 2 camps who took care of their minor aches and pains. We were very fortunate also to have a lot of community involvement this year. The Elizabethan Police Department provided an SRO that we shared between the 2 camps. That was something we did not have last year. We had a student teacher from Milligan University. We had a therapist from Frontier Health. The Betsy Book Bus visited both camps this summer. Each week, they visited the learning camp 3 times and the bridge camp twice, I believe. Provided free books to the students. Niswonger provided small group tutors for us. Chick-fil-A and the Johnson City Mall gave the children a coupon for a free kids meal. Fats and Dairy Queen also provided coupons for our students of the week to get free meals and ice cream from them. The Elizabethan Electric Department provided folders for all of our students. We're very blessed to have a visit from Bright Spots with the Tennessee Department of Education. They came to showcase what our students were doing, the experiences they were having during learning camp. They were focusing again on early literacy initiative here. All this is great. Those are wonderful things that were happening, helping to close those educational gaps that the students that they're having. But I really want to talk about our faculty and staff, and I may tear up. They were just phenomenal. These ladies and gentlemen have had a tough 2-3 years, and we had a record. We send out a Google document early in the spring asking if anybody would be interested in working summer camp, and we had to turn people away that said they were interested in working, which was a shock to us. We figured we were going to have to beg for people. So we're very lucky to be staffed. The people that did worked all 4 weeks. So that was another blessing that we had. They just poured their hearts and souls into these kids. So I want to share a couple of stories that just really touched me this summer. This summer I was more touched by the needs of the students than their academic needs. We had this one student who came into school 2 days in a row. We had noticed he walked kind of funny. So there were several of us that talked to this student several times, and he did not have his feet all the way in his shoes. So several people approached him, what's going on, and checked the shoes to be sure there wasn't a sock stuffed in the bottom or something, and because he was walking on his toes. Well, as we were checking and trying to put the shoes on him, he was almost, yelling at us to please don't shove my foot in that shoe. Please don't make my foot go down in there, because the shoes were about 2 sizes too small. So once we discovered that, what happened, you all know what happened. We had someone went on their lunch break and bought 2 new pairs of shoes. The next morning, someone came in with another new pair of shoes. Someone at camp went to our clothes closet and found new packs of socks to give to this fella. So he went home with new shoes and new socks. One afternoon, I was putting students on the bus, and I noticed that one of the bus drivers had an extra large lunchbox, what I thought was a lunchbox, and I kind of made fun, oh, you brought your big lunch today. And he's like, no. He said, that's a cooler. And I'm like, kind of confused, and he said, well, it's been hot. And he said, these kids get hot on the bus. And he said, it's ice cream for them. And I guess the look on my face was like, what in the world? He said, don't worry, I'm not going to give it to them till they get off the bus. So the bus driver had taken it upon himself to bring ice cream for the kids. And that's what it all amounted to, was us working together. At the end of camp, we sent out a survey. We did this last year asking, what went well, what did you think, what could we improve? And the last question on that survey, and I'm going to read this to you, is there anything else you would like us to know about your summer camp experience? And let me tell you what our faculty and staff said. I love coming together as a district and helping these children. I enjoy it so much. It was a great experience. I definitely want to work again next year. Listen to this. The students appear to enjoy it as much as the teachers. I enjoyed working with teachers from the other schools. I really enjoyed the curriculum, the students, and the camaraderie with other teachers and staff system-wide. I had a blast and learned so much. This was an incredibly awesome year. In closing, I want to repeat the quote that Mother Teresa, that Mr. Van Huss shared in his email to us, a back-to-school email. I can do things you cannot. You can do things I cannot, but together we can do great things.
It's definitely going to be hard to follow up behind Dr. Markland after that. I'm Justin White. Thank you for having us again tonight. I was able to have the honor to serve the middle school portion of the summer camps. And first I want to say thank you to Dr. Newman, Dr. Markland, Ms. Nave, for always being there. There's a lot that goes into this, that we pour over data. We identify kids. We find those kids that need that extra support. So there's a lot of time on the front end that's put in to make this happen during the summer. And to follow Dr. Markland, to brag on our teachers, we have one of the best group of people that you can imagine. They come in with excitement every day. They've had a hard year. And like Dr. Markland said, we're turning people away because they're excited and they want to be part of this process. And that shows because of the relationships that get to be built with our students, especially during this time during the summer. They're small groups, especially at the middle school. We serve about half of what the elementary does. But we have that opportunity to really build some one-on-one relationships with them. And we've really seen that fall over into our school year, where the skills and things that they're building have made great improvements as they go. And I'm, again, excited about seeing our data come back as a district to really look at these students and see how much impact that this was able to have. So still super excited about that. Some things that we get to see on a daily basis, you get to see students that are usually really reserved in the classroom. All of a sudden, they're finding these skills and this confidence to be leaders in classrooms. And it's just fun to kind of watch that grow and develop as we go. And we had kids so excited about butter this summer. Again, speaking to Miss Taylor, she created a STEM lab for us. They took some heavy cream, some marbles, and a jar. We literally had kids sprinting back in from their cars because they forgot it. And they were like, I have to get my butter. Like, I have to go home with my butter today. So it was just really fun to see that. And it just kind of the joy that comes with that learning as we go. Probably one of the best stories that I would like to highlight from the middle school camp, we had a teacher that had dealt with a student throughout the year. Maybe the relationship somewhat strained throughout the year. Has this student again during the summer. And to see a total different relationship be able to develop between this teacher and student. And to the point where she came to me and she said, I have to say thank you for this opportunity. It kind of caught me off guard. I said, for what? She said, I'm getting to meet this student completely different this time around. I will never be able to see him the same. She said, it's so much better that I get to know him this way versus what I had from how I've known him throughout the school year. So just some great things that really happen as we go through it. Ultimately, the growth in relationships that develop during the summer are valuable as we continue to know and serve our students. It's amazing to be a part of this team that happened, to make it happen, and we continue to hope to do it for as long as we can. So thank you, Mr. Van Hust, the board, Dr. Newman. We appreciate it.
Thank you all very much. And I just want to reiterate, you think about, Mr. Thompson's going to share some information about some of our student data with you as well. And when I think about the good news that he's going to be able to share with you, we touched on last month, but there's several different things I think that have fed in the success that we've seen, our focus on early literacy, TN core tutoring, but summer school. Some of the results you're going to see Mr. Thompson talk about are a direct result of the efforts that they just mentioned about people in summer school that we had last year. So all of those things that we're talking about, though, it takes quality people, just as they mentioned, and we have the best, bar none. So thank you all very much. Appreciate that. Okay, Mr. Thompson, come up and share some good news about student results.
Good evening. First, I'd like to say Dr. Newman has just recently shared an email with you that has a lot more data, achievement data in it, so it should be in your inbox when you have time. And thank you to her for compiling a good bit of this data and putting part of this presentation together. Right now, we're going to focus on achievement data. And achievement data we recently received from the state. And basically, it's how well that child did on the test during that given year on the standards and objectives that were covered that year, and specifically talking about last year. And one thing to highlight is the state, one thing they put out is participation rate. how many students that should test have tested, and they have a minimum that you must reach, which is 95%. And if you don't reach that, it will negatively impact your accountability data as you move forward, and they start giving us letter grades for state report card, et cetera. But this year, we hit 99% of our students test, so that should have tested. So our participation rate was 99%. And I'd like to say a lot of that goes out to the schools, the administrators, but specifically our building test coordinators, that it's a lot of work that goes into it for them to get all these students tested. So as we move forward, what we did, we highlighted each grade level, and then as a district, and if you'll notice, the blue is 2019. There's no 2020 data because we did not test that year. Then you have 21 and then 22. And the goal was obviously to increase our achievement, but we want to start bouncing back from the COVID year, which is in the orange. And what you'll notice in ELA and some of the other subjects we'll cover, we not only surpassed the COVID years, we actually outperformed the year prior to COVID. And you'll notice that, or all the way back to 2019. So the blue, you'll see significantly third, fourth, stands out a lot with 55.3%. And there's 4 categories, I should say. And what you're seeing, the percentage here is either met expectations or exceeded expectations. So that's the number you're looking at right there. Those are the 2 upper tier categories that we want to be within. So take 4th grade, for instance, ELA, 55.3% of our students in 4th grade ELA either met or exceeded expectations. And that's huge. And all the way up, English 1, English 2. So you see increases across the board. And again, it's the hard work, the extra, we can tie it into the teachers, the extra ESSER funding, everything we've been able to do, and specifically our teachers with the students. Is just, it's amazing to see the increase in achievement scores across the board. The data you have actually breaks it all the way down to school level, but right tonight we want to keep it wave top level. Next, again, you look at math. Again, you'll see a lot of increases across the board here in math as well, and outperforming in almost every grade level you'll see that COVID year, and some again outperforming that 2019 year. Again, here's science. There's 2 years of science, 21 and 22. Orange again, almost across the board outperform the prior year in achievement. And then lastly is social studies. A couple dips from 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, I mean, but again, outperforming the COVID year. And again, it's just across the board, district-wide. And as you look at the schools, the breakdown of schools, you'll see it as well. And again, this is achievement, and August 1st, which will be embargoed for a little while, we're going to have TVOS, which is growth scores coming out. And we'll be able to highlight those again, probably September-ish time frame at that board meeting, and compile all the data. So a lot more data to come, but we really wanted to highlight and celebrate, and again, just talk highly. Dr. Newman did a comparison, and we look at this first core region of districts, which compiles of roughly 17 schools. And I want to say in 3rd through 8th grade ELA, out of 17 schools, we ranked 3rd. And then in math, 3rd through 8, we had a ranking of 2 out of 17. So we like to compare, look at other districts, compare across the state. And we have a lot of that information across the state, compared to state level, and we basically outperform the state in almost everything. So more to come. Like I said, TVOS, some more data, state report card being released in the coming months, and a lot to celebrate here. And just hats off to our teachers and everybody that has helped make this possible. Is there any questions I can answer for y'all? I didn't have any jokes tonight. All right, that's all I got. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. I would just, again, like to reiterate that it's about people. You know, it's teachers, teacher assistants, cafeteria workers, bus drivers. It's the family, it's the Cyclone family that makes this possible. So we talked today in our principals meeting about the fact that we all need to celebrate across the district when we see results like this. No matter where you are or what your role is, again, because it takes all of us to be able to do this. And again, just very, very proud of the effort. We've always had people that have worked hard, but it's great when you see results like this and our students and our staff when they're rewarded for those efforts. So thank you very much. On to my report. I'll be brief, but again, just want to remind you a couple of things on the calendar. Our first in-service day, teachers will report on Monday, August 1st, and we'll be holding that opening in-service at Elizabethan High School. And all of you are welcome and invited to attend lunch starting at 1 o'clock in the Commons area at the high school, and then we'll move down to the gymnasium at 12:30 for our opening in-service program. And so we're looking forward to that. Certainly hope that you can be there. You have hot off the presses here, literally hot off the presses. You have a copy of the system-wide T-shirt that we'll be distributing this year as well, and we're encouraging all of our staff to wear those on Monday to that in-service. I also want to highlight the back-to-school bash that will occur Saturday, August the 6th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. in Citizens Bank Stadium at the high school. So we'll be distributing backpacks. There'll be games, activities for the students. We have, I think, 21 different vendors that will have booths set up there. We'll have the health department. We have 2 different groups that will be providing haircuts, free haircuts for students. So this is the first time we've been able to do this in, is it 3 years? I think it's 3 years. So it was one of the best things we ever did as a system. And so we're excited about the opportunity to start that back up again. So hope that you can be there again for that. And I'll send out some email and remind you about that. But again, that's Saturday, August the 6th from 10 to 12. Also, in the for information, I'll go ahead and mention this. In the for information section of your board packet, you'll notice Ms. Baird has put together the board meeting calendar moving forward. A couple of things there I would like to mention. The first one is the only kind of anomaly there is the meeting, the October meeting. The third Thursday in October falls during our fall break. So we have moved that to the week before. Unfortunately, that will line up with city council meeting that 1 week, but we probably need to do that because most of our people will be out enjoying their families and activities and things like that. I have had a request from Mr. Pless about considering moving the September meeting from Thursday to Tuesday, so that would be Tuesday, September the 13th. So if you'll look at your calendars and see if that's an issue, and then we'll finalize that at the August meeting, if that's okay. But take a look at that calendar and let me know if you have any questions on that. Again, we've had a tremendous year. Last year, we're going to celebrate that at the opening in-service, but we're also going to use that as an opportunity to build off that success and push us forward into the 22-23 school year. But so it'll be a great time, and I certainly hope that you can be there. And again, we're looking forward to that. So that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Van Huss. Next on the agenda is board members' reports. Does any of the board members have anything they would like to bring before the board tonight? Okay, if not, we'll move on. We'll move on to our regular agenda. And for clarity, I'm going to let Mr. Van Huss read these off and make sure that he gets it right. I may leave something out.
I'll be happy to do that. So the first item, approve updated board policy 1.102, board members. Approve updated board policy 1.105, school board legislative involvement. Item C, approve updated board policy 1.204, board member development opportunities. Item D, approve updated board policy 4.101, instructional standards. Item E, approve updated board policy 4.210, credit recovery. Item F, approve new board policy 4.402, reconsideration of textbooks and instructional materials. Item G, approve updated board policy 4.403, library materials. Item H, approve board policy 4.406, use of the internet. Item I, approve updated board policy 4.600, grading system. Item J, approve updated board policy 4.602, honor roll, awards, and class ranking. Item K, approve board policy 5.106, application and employment. Item L, approve updated board policy 6.317, student disciplinary hearing authority.
Do I have a motion to approve these board policies?
Make a motion to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Mr. Van Huss, I'll let you kind of
All right.
briefly tell us what's going on here.
I will do that. I'll do my best. So, just briefly, I'll run down through here, and I have a brief synopsis of each one for you. The first one, 1.102, board members. There's a new, and all of these changes are necessitated by recent legislative action by the state. So these are the model policies given to us by TSBA. So the first one just states that board members must now be qualified voters. So not really a change there. Essentially, that means anyone that is interested in running for as a board member would need to be a registered voter. So that's 1.102. 1.105, school board legislative involvement, and 1.204, board member development opportunities. Both of these items basically remove references to the NSBA, the National School Board Association, because the TSBA is no longer affiliated with that organization. So those two policies are just removing those references to the national organization. Policy 4.101, instructional standards. This clarifies that complaints regarding alleged violations regarding prohibited concepts are required to comply with the complaint process outlined in the Tennessee Department of Education temporary emergency rule, which was in place. So basically, this rule just makes that complaint procedure standard moving forward. 4.210, credit recovery. A couple of things here. One item that I'll get to in just a second, which is grading policy, but it's going to necessitate a change in how a student would be eligible for credit recovery. In the old system, it's been the student would have to have a minimum grade of 50, but based on the new grading policy that we'll consider in a moment, we need to raise that to a minimum grade grade of 50. Okay, or excuse me, 55. It would move from 50 to 55. So if they had any average lower than 50, they would not qualify for credit recovery. And also, we're adding a reference in there that possible items for consideration to determine if a student would be eligible. We're also going to look at attendance and discipline as well to inform that decision. 4.402 and 4.403, reconsideration of textbooks and instructional materials and library materials. Both of these are necessitated based on the fact that we are now required to list all of our book libraries, any type of instructional materials. That's going to be a process for us. The actual school libraries will be probably much easier, but we're also going to have to log and catalog and post on our website any libraries that may be in individual teacher classrooms. So this policy puts that in line and lines that up with the requirements from state law on those items. There's also a complaint procedure if someone has a question about one of a material that we have. If they question that, there's a review process and a review committee that will be in place to consider those requests. 4.406, use of the internet. This addresses complaints about how vendors provide access to online content. This law requires districts to have a policy specifically allowing these complaints and stating how they will be handled. So it also sets up a complaint process for parents if there's any type of internet material that we have or an internet provider may have. Again, just a complaint process for that. 4.600, grading policy. Basically what this does is it will make a uniform grading scale, a 10-point scale for grades 2 through 12 in the system. And you may have heard in recent news there are several school systems in the area that are basically doing the same thing. The reason it's second grade through 12, those are the grade levels that we have that students receive a numeric score. So it just made sense. The law states that we only have to do that for 9 through 12, but really for consistency across the system, it made sense to do that all the way down to second grade. So it also, this part of this will be, it will set the minimum 9 weeks grade a student can receive as a 50, which is the bottom level of an F. That doesn't mean a teacher can still compile a student's grades throughout the 9 weeks. If a student's just not performing, they're not turning any work in, and their average, let's say, maybe a 32, the teacher can continue to compile that throughout that 9 weeks. But when it comes time to report that on the grade card, the minimum grade will be a 50. It's the bottom of an F scale. Any questions on that? It made sense to do this. If we didn't do this, then we would have multiple grading scales, and that would just be a nightmare for office staff trying to maneuver that. Okay, 4.602 class ranking. This basically sets up a Latin system for student recognition, similar to what you would hear from a college or university. So that's what this policy change sets up. 5.106 application employment allows the district to accept a background check from a prospective employee if it's completed by another school system in Tennessee or another child care program in Tennessee, provided that it's been completed within 1 year of the application date. So this is a great thing because it would minimize an additional cost to a prospective future employee. So it would still meet all the qualifications, what we would make them do, but again, it just saves them a little bit of money and hopefully will encourage individuals to apply. And the last one, 6.317, disciplinary hearing authority. This was just to clean up some language that was in there based on some recent changes and streamline that structure. Some of the way that policy read about the procedure on each step through that hearing process, it was a little bit confusing, so this language just clears up and makes it more succinct exactly how that process will flow. So I know that's a lot. Does anybody have any specific questions on one of those?
Thank
Okay,
you, Mr.
thank
Van
you.
Huss. We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. I'll try it from here.
Okay.
And if I miss anything, let me know. Approve creation of a transitional football coach position to address large student athlete numbers in the EHS and TA Duggar programs for the 2022-2023 school year. I have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Tell me exactly what we're doing with this. I mean,
Well, after you second, then we'll have a discussion, and then we'll have a final vote.
okay,
Yeah.
second.
Okay, all right. So let me give you a little background on this. And part of the for information for this particular item, I shared this document with everyone. So let me explain to you what happened here. So Coach Holt and Coach Witten came to me about the possibility of creating another position to help with large participation numbers. So currently, from the high school football program and the junior high, we have about 170 students participating in those two programs. And the question was, would there be some way we could create another supplement that would almost be a floating position? And that's why I just came up with the name, a transitional coach position, because the request was if we could have one more person that maybe needs to work with a TA Duggar football team a couple of days a week, but then needs to work with the high school program the other time. It would basically just be a spot that would allow them to float based on the way the student numbers are. So the first thing I thought was, we already have a pretty good sized staff. So I sat down and I broke down, okay, what would be the coach and athlete ratio? And so I compared that with several sports. And just almost every single sport, with the exception of maybe junior high track, that ratio was under one staff member to 10 athletes. It was under that in all. When I calculated that for those football players I mentioned, it was 1 in 12. And so rather than just creating another position, we put some teeth in there. Again, if this is based on the fact that we have large numbers participating, then we put this in here. So on July the 1st, what would happen if approved? We'll look at the participation numbers for both programs. If at any point in time that drops below 160 with both, this position would no longer be in effect for that year. And we would have the 2 ADs and the 2 football coaches would be talking and discussing exactly what that position would look like. And so since it's someone that may work at T.A. Duggar a portion of the time as well as the high school, what I did was I took the 2 supplements for those and I basically averaged that and created a scale here. So it's an average of those 2. And that seemed like the fair way to do it based on the different levels of responsibility in the 2 different areas. So once I looked at that staff and athlete ratio, I felt like at that point in time it was justified. Now, again, if they're not able to keep these participation rates there, then it's set up that that position would no longer be there. So that's my justification for your asking for this, for you to consider this.
So, I mean, it seems to me that the football program is just growing.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand what you're asking for.
And I'm not sure that's going to slow down. I think they have over 120, I believe, participating in the youth league, and the numbers just continue to grow. But the beauty again of this position, if those participation numbers drop, then that position just goes away. So we've not created something that will be there, from now on if those numbers drop.
And I'll be honest with you, I see a lot of young kids based on what I do, and I don't think the numbers are going to drop.
I don't either. I
At
agree
all.
with you. Mm-hmm. But again, if they do, then the position would no longer be there. So it's an incentive to keep participation numbers up.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. Everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion is approved. Okay, next item, approve school resource officer memorandum of understanding between the City of Elizabethan and Elizabethan City Schools for the 2022-2023 school year. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, great. So first of all, I would like to start by saying how much we appreciate the City of Elizabethton and their willingness to pick up the difference in the 3 SRO positions that we currently have at the 3 elementary schools. For the past 2 or 3 years, we've been paying for those elementary SRO positions utilizing a combination of different funding sources, but mainly an SRO grant that the state provided. So we received $45,000 for each of those positions. It was a 3-year grant. Unfortunately, the grant period is over. They did have some excess funds, so they've extended it another year, but we only generated about $14,000 per position. So we asked the city, if you remember, in our budget request, basically to cover that difference that's no longer there. And they graciously agreed to that. The city council approved this same memorandum of understanding at last week's meeting. And so we're excited again about that partnership and what those officers bring to our students in our schools.
We very much appreciate the cooperation and working with the city, and these officers are very much needed in our environment we live in today. I'm very thankful that we have them in our schools.
Absolutely. Chief Shaw's fantastic to work with. He works very hard to get quality individuals in there, so we appreciate that very much.
I have a motion to approve and a second. Everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Let me get online here. Approved contract between Elizabethan City Schools and Scenario Learning for employee safety training. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second? I'll
Second.
second the motion. I think I can second them.
Okay, so this is, you may be familiar with a program that we've used for several years. It's called Safe Schools, and that's essentially what this is. We went with another vendor last year. It worked fine. It just didn't perform the same way that Safe Schools or now Scenario Learning did. So that's why the item is back on there. We still used Safe Schools for certain groups of employees in certain positions, but we just felt like that this streamlined the process. And what we're talking about here is required safety training, things like CPR. Oh goodness, what else? What else did I do? I did CPR. child abuse, all of these different things that the state requires us to do annually. And so that's essentially what this program is that we're asking you to consider approval.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion approved. Let me get on track here. The next item is approved contract between Elizabethan City Schools and School Kit for the 2022-2023 school year for the provision of early literacy network support. Have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, so this item, School Kit's working with us in two different ways. There's also another contract on this agenda that you probably noticed in the consent agenda. The reason it's there is because it's already been approved, and we had to approve a tweak to that. Both of these grants, we're paying for these out of grant funds, and essentially what they're doing is they're coming in and helping us set up the design of those programs, the materials that we're using. So they're assisting teachers in training on how best to utilize those programs, use them with fidelity, so that we get our bang for our buck out of that. So they'll be working with our interventionist teachers in these two particular areas. So, and again, these are paid for using grant funds.
Have a motion to approve and a second. Everybody in favor say aye.
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 Motion approved. Okay. Next item, approve recommended price increases in school lunches for the 2022-2023 school year. We have this other A part. Does that need to be part of the same motion, or just are those separate items? Or separate items?
Yeah, let's approve G, and then we'll
Okay.
go back and do A. That's a good
Okay.
idea. Yes, sir.
I'll read it again. Approve recommended price increases in school lunches for the 2022-2023 school year. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Okay.
As Ms. Odom mentioned before, she referenced the fact that we've been participating in a school-wide, system-wide free lunches as a part of USDA. Unfortunately, that program has come to an end. We've spoken with legislators about the possibility of adding that back, because I think we all agree feeding kids should be first and foremost on our minds, and if we're able to do that. So unfortunately, that's gone away. So for the first time in, I guess, maybe 3 years, we're actually going to have to charge students for lunch at the high school, T.A. Duggar, and West Side, because Harold McCormick and East Side qualify for this community grant, so they can actually eat free. That's based on free and reduced lunch numbers, and unfortunately, those other schools that I mentioned did not qualify for that. So that's essentially, these are price adjustments based off the old scale, and as you know, things continue to cost more, and inflation continues on. So
I have a question.
fortunately, it's minimal increases. Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Sure.
Surely there's consideration for the income of the family of the child, is there not?
Absolutely, absolutely. So students in this, that's a good point. I'm glad you mentioned that. So students in these locations, if they qualify for a free or reduced lunch, they continue to either eat free or reduced price. These prices that we're setting here would be for individuals that do not qualify.
That's fine.
And the last few years, we've been able to feed anyone, and we've received reimbursements from the federal government for that. But that, at this point, has stopped it being universal for any student in the building.
Right. I was
Yes.
concerned that, we're going to charge everybody.
No. I'm glad you mentioned that. No, this would just be for those that do not qualify.
Sure.
And I appreciate you bringing that up, because it's very important for all parents and at the beginning of the school year to get this application form and get it filled out and see if they're eligible for the free and reduced. That's something that's been in place for years, and it's their responsibility to get those forms and get them filled out with all the information needed to see if they're eligible for these programs. So hopefully everyone will do that. So, but we have a motion and a second. Everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
There's a part to this. I'm a little confused here, but the next item is approved grant contract between the State of Tennessee Department of Human Services effective October the 1st, 2022, and extend for a period of 24 months. I have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I have a second. Second.
Okay, so now that you've approved those amounts, now you're actually approving the actual grant award for that, the actual contract with the Department of Human Services.
Okay.
So,
That explains it.
yes.
Okay. We have a motion to approve and a second. Everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now the one we've been looking for, last item. Approve the purchase of a 2017 Chrysler Pacific lift van in amount of $39,000. Have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, so this item, we've talked for probably a year or two about the possibility of being able to purchase a van that would be handicapped accessible, to be able to transport individuals in a wheelchair potentially. We have some situations where if we have to pick up a student on some of the streets in the city that are limited, we have limited access to get in those areas. And you know, the buses that we have, you know, we only have the fleet that we have, and there's a few areas we just can't get a bus in there. So if we had someone in one of those spaces that we needed to pick up, and they had a wheelchair, we'd be in a world of hurt. So we've had an opportunity to purchase this vehicle. It's in fantastic shape. It will give us that freedom to do that, the ability to do that when needed. We have situations where we may be taking a field trip with a student in a wheelchair, and maybe all the buses are out, or we're having a hard time finding a bus driver. We would be able to utilize this vehicle. It would also allow us to transport students for a host of other things, competitions, potentially using it to transport students for work-based learning opportunities. So this is really going to open up, and we've actually kicked around the idea of using some grants in the past to purchase this, but this is an extremely competitive price. It's a great deal for us as a school system. The vehicle's in fantastic shape, but you can actually, it basically has a ramp that comes down out of the back of the van, and you can actually get 2 individuals with wheelchairs loaded in that space. And then if you can't put 2 wheelchairs and have the back seat, but if you have 1 wheelchair, you can also have a bench seat in the back that would also 2 people could ride in. So in theory, you could get 5 individuals, 1 in a wheelchair and 4 passengers. Well, the driver and 3 passengers, I guess, in there. So it gives us the flexibility to haul students, based on whatever their need may be. So.
How many miles on? Just curious.
Under 30. So it's a 2017, under 30,000 miles. And when you look at a comparison of that, most of those vehicles with a lot more mileage than that, they're asking in the 50s for that van. So it's a fantastic deal.
Okay. We have a motion to approve in a second. Everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. The next regularly scheduled board meeting will be held on the 18th day of August 2022 at 5:30 here in the boardroom. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned.